One of the 5 factory settings in this video can turn into a $2,500 rear axle rebuild, and it has nothing to do with the 6 I covered working against your 10-speed last time. I've had F-150S on my lift with wear patterns that trace straight back to every one of these 5. If you already turned those 6 off, good. You're ahead of most owners. But that was never the whole list. The other 5 are spread across your rear axle, your charging system, your parking habits, your trailer brakes, and the tire sticker in your door jamb, and every one of them is still switched on exactly the way it left the factory. By the end of this video, you'll know all 5, what each one is quietly doing to a different part of this truck, and exactly what to change tonight. None of these 5 are hidden on purpose. They're just never explained. Ford calls a fluid lifetime because that sounds simpler than printing 2 different intervals. The alternator saves you gas because that number shows up on a window sticker and your battery's health doesn't. The parking pall holds the truck because it's designed to right up until it's the only thing holding. Nobody explains any of that until you're the one paying for it. Setting 1. Your rear axle is running on fluid, Ford calls. Lifetime, and towing doesn't care. Ford's manual calls the rear differential fluid good for the life of the truck, and the standard interval reflects that, 100,000 miles between changes. That number assumes normal driving. Tow a trailer at highway speed, especially anywhere over about 70 degrees outside, and the ring and pinion inside that axle are generating far more heat and doing far more work per mile than a 100,000-mile interval was ever calculated around. And it gets worse. Once that fluid degrades under sustained heat, it stops protecting the gear teeth and bearings the way it's supposed to, and the wear that causes doesn't show up as a dash light. It shows up as noise, then play in the pinion, then a rebuild. Owners who tow regularly are better served changing that fluid every 30,000 miles, not 100,000. I had a 2019 F-150 come in at 71,000 miles, towing a 9,000-pound trailer every summer for 3 seasons, never once serviced past the factory interval. The ring and pinion were already chattering on deceleration, $2,100, and the fluid alone would have caught it at 30,000 miles for $150. Result, a fluid change most shops will do for $150 to $180, versus a ring and pinion rebuild that runs $1,000 to $2,500 once the damage is done. That is the choice, and lifetime fill was never written with your towing in mind. Setting 2. Your alternator is deliberately undercharging your battery to save you gas. Here is where it gets interesting. Your alternator isn't just charging your battery, it's deciding how much to charge it based on what saves you fuel. Ford's Smart Charge system, standard on F-150s for 2 decades now, drops alternator output at highway cruise once the battery's reasonably topped off and the electrical load is low. You'll see something like 12.5 to 13.2 volts instead of the 14 to 14.8 volts a fully committed charge would use. That's worth 1 to 3 miles per gallon, and it's a real defensible trade Ford is making. Here's the part that isn't defended anywhere in the owner's manual. A battery that spends more of its life sitting at a partial state of charge, especially in a truck doing a lot of short trips or living somewhere hot, degrades faster than one that gets fully topped off every drive. Result? Slightly better fuel economy and a battery that quietly gives you less service life for it, with no light on the dash telling you which trade you're making today. A $200 battery replaced 2 years early versus mileage numbers you'll never actually notice at the pump. That is the trade. Now here's the part of this video that actually matters more than any single setting on this list. The 2 you just heard fail silently. No warning light, no message, nothing telling you a trade is even being made. Hit subscribe now because the next 3 are exactly the same, completely silent until the day they aren't, starting with the one sitting under your own right foot every time you park. Setting 3. Every time you park on a hill without the brake, one small tooth holds the whole truck. This is where most people get it completely wrong. They think shifting into park is what holds the truck. It isn't, not entirely. Park engages a small pawl, a single tooth, that drops into a notch on a gear connected to the output shaft. On flat ground, that's plenty. Park on any real incline, a driveway, a parking garage ramp, a boat launch, without setting the parking brake first, and the entire weight of this truck is trying to rotate that output shaft, held back by that one tooth. Do that every day for years, and the pawl and the notch it sits in wear exactly the way metal under constant load wears. You'll feel it first as a shifter that's tighter and harder to move out of park on a hill. In the worst case, that tooth shears, and there's nothing holding the truck at all. I had a 2017 F-150 come in that wouldn't come out of park on a slight grade in a parking lot. Owner had never once used the parking brake in 3 years of ownership. The pawl tooth was rounded down to almost nothing. Full transmission removal, $850 to replace a part smaller than a house key. Result, set the parking brake before you shift to park every time, on every incline. It costs nothing and takes 3 seconds. A rebuilt pawl runs $500 to $1,000 and requires pulling the transmission to get at it. 3 seconds versus a transmission coming out. That is the choice. Setting 4. Your truck's brakes are doing your trailer's job, and the fix takes 5 minutes. Stay with me, because this next one only matters if you tow. But if you tow, it matters every single time you brake. Ford's integrated trailer brake controller ships with the gain set to low by default, a conservative setting meant to avoid locking up a trailer's wheels on a trailer nobody's tested yet. Almost nobody goes back and actually calibrates it to their specific trailer. Leave that gain too low, and the trailer's own brakes aren't doing their share of the stopping, which means your truck's brakes are absorbing more of that combined weight every single time you slow down for as long as you own that trailer. Result, pull into a flat, empty lot at 20 to 25 miles an hour, squeeze the manual lever, and adjust the gain up until the trailer brake's just short of locking up. 5 minutes, skip it, and you're burning through your own truck's pads and rotors faster than a truck that isn't doing a trailer's job for it. 5 minutes in a parking lot versus an early brake job on the truck that was never the one that needed it. That is the trade. Setting 5. The PSI on your door jamb was never calculated for what you're hauling. But don't stop there, because the tire pressure question isn't as simple as the door sticker is wrong. It isn't wrong. For this truck alone, empty, on a normal day, it's calculated around the truck's own weight. What it isn't calculated around is a loaded trailer's tongue weight sitting on the hitch, or a bed full of gear pressing down on the rear axle. Ford's own owner's manual has a separate chart for exactly this situation, telling you how much to add to the rear, sometimes the front, when you're loaded or towing. Almost nobody has ever opened that page. Run door jamb pressure while loaded, and the sidewalls flex more than they're built for, building heat with every mile. And heat is what actually causes a tread separation, not just old age. The TPMS won't save you here either. It doesn't warn you until a tire's about 25% below the door placard, and placard pressure while loaded was already too low before you started driving. Result, 5 minutes with a gauge and the towing chart in your glove box, versus a blowout at highway speed with a trailer behind you. That is the choice, and it's the one on this list with the highest stakes. Turn off the 6 settings from the last video and take care of these 5, and you've covered almost everything factory default is quietly working against on this truck. Not because Ford built it wrong, but because none of these 5 trade-offs get explained anywhere you'd actually read them before they cost you something. Comment which of these 5 you'd never heard of before this video, and your mileage. I want to know whether it's the rear axle, the battery, the parking pal, the trailer brakes, or the tire pressure catching the most of you off guard. Which of these same settings exist on the Ram side of this channel, and where Ram's factory defaults are actually better or worse than Ford's? That's the next video. Check your own truck against every setting on both lists before you assume you're covered.